Welcome, everyone, to the Week 15 series of Just Saying Football with Jack and Sean. I'm your host, Sean Gann, alongside my partner, Jack McNicholas. We're here to bring you news, notes, weekly updates, and game analysis of your favorite teams from around the league. If you have not had the chance, go check out our website at justsayingfootball.com and follow us on Instagram at justsayingwjs for article and video updates. We got Saturday football this week. This is a fun week for us. We got some Thursday action. We got some Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So let's get into it. We got the Buffalo Bills at 4:30 heading off to Denver to take on the Broncos. Jack, what you got for us?
Yeah, a couple of nice games here on Saturday. You got to enjoy that as we start pushing into these playoffs. The next few weeks, got 3 weeks left of the regular season, and we just kick it off here after a nice Thursday night game going into overtime. We got the Bills and Broncos in Denver. The Bills, since 2008, have won 4 of the last 5 matchups. The only matchup where the Broncos have gotten the Bills' number since then was when Peyton Manning was the quarterback. And the Bills right now, they have won 6 of their last 7 games this year, and I think Josh Allen is primed for a big week. The last 2 weeks, over 40 attempts, they're throwing the ball. I think that this is a big game for him to prove that he could be maybe a dark horse MVP, Sean.
I mean, I'm not trying to discredit the season he's having by saying he's not the MVP, but I think it's definitely Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and then everyone else who's just trying to be in that conversation. But I think you have the 2 clear-cut guys this season. We're talking about quarterbacks here. Drew Locke just had his best career game, not of just the season, but just of the last 2 years. He went off last week. He did great for them. Threw 4 touchdowns, 0 interception, was 21 of 27, 280 yards. Just had a really, really clean game against Carolina to get them the win. And I think that if he wants to continue to be the starting quarterback of this team going into his 3rd season, he's going to need to beat the Bills. And that's going to be a hard task to do because my man, who we traded him away, Stephon Diggs, just had a great game against one of the best defenses in the Pittsburgh Steelers. 10 for 130 and a touchdown. That is what Diggs does, man.
He has the targets and the volume. We talked about it. John Brown has been out a couple of games, and Diggs has just been taking in those targets, and we talked about last week that Steelers defense with all the injuries, Joe Hayden being out, and they took advantage last week. That Bills defense looked great, had their first defensive touchdown in 3 years against Roethlisberger. But like you mentioned, Drew Locke had a great game last week. He's going to try to bring it again here. KJ Hamler, we saw him go off on a big touchdown. Jerry Jeudy's having a solid season. Tim Patrick came out of nowhere this year, leading the team right now in yards and touchdowns. He's got 643. 6 touchdowns. He's looking fantastic right now. Drew Locke, we have said before that, we don't really trust him. And the problem here is that this week it's a good matchup and he needs to prove himself. He's at home, but Josh Allen, and the way that you mentioned Diggs, Cole Beasley, shout out to Cole Beasley, the way that he's been playing, the reliability of this offense for the passing offense for the Bills, it's evident. You see it. The Bills' passing game is the 3rd best in the league right now at 272, but their running game, 22nd in the league. I think that's really where the Broncos can stop them and maybe make them uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I bring it up from time to time. If you're able to make a team one-dimensional and they have to pass pretty much every play because they're not able to effectively run the ball, that could be a great win for your team. It makes the game that much easier. It makes your game plan that much easier if you're able to stop the run. I wanted them to actually go after Le'Veon Bell while he was sitting as a free agent. I thought Bell on the Bills with the rest of this team would have been filthy. It would have been the kind of running back that you could just kind of hand the ball off over and over again. Although I do just want to give a shout out to Zach Moss. He's slowly been kind of stepping into a role that we thought that he could coming out of college. He is a rookie running back. Wasn't super highly touted, but he's been able to put together a handful of games here and there, and hopefully he's able to do the same up against the Broncos this week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna take the Bills in this despite the lack of running game. I think that Zach Moss could possibly take advantage right now. It's just the fact that Denver in their offense, 29th ranked, they're not even getting over 20, points a game. It's very interesting how, this isn't the Broncos of the past, but this is also the Bills of the past. And I think that they're going to take this game away. They've been great on the road this year.
Yeah, I think that the way for the Broncos to win this game is you got to try to neutralize Diggs as best you can and stop their number one receiving threat. And pardon me. And Vic Fangio has familiarity going up against Diggs because he was the defensive coordinator with the Bears from 2015 up until last year when he was signed as the head coach. So it's up to Vic Fangio, I think, to try to neutralize Stephon Diggs. With that being said, this offense is electric. You mentioned it before, and I just think that the way that Josh Allen has been playing throughout the season is so well improved compared to the last couple of years that we've seen of him. Diggs has been his guy. They're going to make sure that he does try to get the ball, and they just got a huge win over Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
and to have that momentum coming into a game like the Broncos, you want to keep it going. If they're able to win this week and the Dolphins lose, they've secured the AFC East, and that's kind of what you want right now. Let's win it. It's been the Patriots for so long.
true.
Go out there and get the job done, Bills. Get ready for the playoffs. They're primed for, I hope, a deep run and not a one and done like last year. So get the win over the Broncos. This is like a weird must-win game.
Yeah, very weird, Saturday football trend of mismatch. But I mean, the Broncos at home, we'll see what they'll do, with this Melvin Gordon led running game, just a bright spot to mention. But really, I think that the Bills are playing good football right now. They can totally take this. And if there is one team that is playing good football, it's the Green Bay Packers. And they are hosting the Carolina Panthers, who have seven one-possession losses this year. Could you only imagine if they had Christian McCaffrey?
Dude, if they had Christian McCaffrey, this team would be so much better off with how they've played. I think that Bridgewater looks to be the guy for the foreseeable future for sure. It's going to be much better to see what this offense is really capable of if you're able to get Christian McCaffrey in for a full 16 games or even 13, 14 games instead of what we've seen, or I think we've only seen him in like around 5 games this year. You just wish this offense was at its full power. That being said, though, DJ Moore is coming back this week. He was on the COVID list last week. He's back in the lineup, and I do like their 3-headed receiving monster and DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and Curtis Samuel. It's a really entertaining 3, and I think that the Packers are going to need to put together the right scheme to neutralize them, because without DJ Moore, we saw that both Curtis Samuel and Robbie Anderson can have good games and produce. Yeah. So you factor in DJ Moore and surprise win at Lambeau? Probably not, but like make it interesting for 4 quarters.
I mean, you mentioned Lambeau, one of the toughest places to play in December, unless you're Eli Manning and it's January, but it's December. And wow, I mean, Teddy Bridgewater, I hope he's got both his gloves on. This is going to be a cold one. I'm expecting a big game from Aaron Jones. We expected a lot from him last week in a good matchup against Detroit. We've been calling good games for him. I really do think that this is the matchup where they can possibly get this done. But right now, Carolina's defense, this is a juicy matchup for Aaron Rodgers. I'll tell you, 250 yards a game allowed through the air from Carolina. You're just looking at a big game potential from Lazard, Adams. Maybe Scanling will have one of his games. You always gotta think. But Tanyan too. He's really looking Tanyan's way the last 4 games. A score for him. This could be a big way for Aaron Rodgers to prove that he's MVP.
I mean, I think right now he's the MVP. You got 39 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. You're hovering at around a 70% completion. It's 69.6. I'm just going to give him the 70%. And he's thrown for over 3,500 yards this season. And you're the number 1 in the NFC before the playoff picture. He is set up to win another MVP season. I don't think we got to talk about it much in our filming of the show. But you and I had a conversation after the draft night happened. They drafted Love in the first round, and I said this is going to be Aaron Rodgers' RELAX season. This is going to be one of those ones. He says, you shouldn't have done this. This is a mistake. Let me show you why. and he has just shown why they didn't need to draft a quarterback and why they should have drafted a wide receiver or a playmaker to assist him on this hell of a season. But I mean, he's playing lights out. I purposely wore the Brett Favre jersey because I believe that the Packers are going to win this week. It's going to, the guy who took over his position in Green Bay has just been lights out. He's playing next level. And honestly, if he wins a second Super Bowl, I think you got to put him in that GOAT status. If he wasn't already in your conversation of GOAT for what he's done in his illustrious career, then that second Super Bowl definitely has to push you over the edge because he's always just come so close in the NFC Championship games.
Yeah, oh my God. I mean, it just, getting 400 touchdowns just a couple weeks ago, he's the first guy to do it without getting over 100 picks. That's incredibly impressive, especially for me as a Giants fan watching Eli Manning. My whole career, I've never really seen a season where a guy is having 4 interceptions at this point in the season. But we mentioned, the Packers need this win. They're at home. They're looking for that bye. The Saints are getting Drew Brees back in a tough matchup. This isn't time for them to edge their way into the first seed. And we've talked about how important it is to have that first seed this year. We mentioned the playoff format all the time, how it's changed, and they had the chance to be that only team and the NFL playoffs and the NFC, they could go through Lambeau. And that is why I picked them in this one too.
Yeah, you don't, and they're definitely going to win this game. Yeah. I think it could be a really interesting game though, with again like the 3-headed receiving core monster that they have. Mike Davis is solid on the ground game. I just want to highlight Jeremy Chin, the rookie safety for the Panthers.
Yeah, my God,
incredible season, and he did really well against the Vikings. Obviously, had 2 fumble recoveries for 2 touchdowns in like 45 seconds. And I think that this is a team and this is a game that could be a lot of fun to watch. Really close in scores and scoring from time to time. But I think that Aaron Rodgers knows what's at stake. You just mentioned it. This first seed, only one team is going to get home field advantage. I know it's COVID and there may not be fans. There probably won't be fans. But if you have to go to Lambeau in January where it's freezing and this team is used to this weather, you don't want to do that. So. Yeah. And they know that this is at stake. They know they now have a chance to get that first bye. The Saints have a tough matchup in the Chiefs. That's a potential Super Bowl matchup as well. You got to secure this win against an easy team.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I mean, I'm just happy that there's Saturday football. We got 2 quarterbacks that, we're looking at. And then 2 quarterbacks in Drew Locke and Teddy Bridgewater in these matchups that, have something to prove this week.
I got one question for you. Who gets more receiving yards? Devonta Adams or DJ Moore? We're just gonna pick the team's top 2 wide receivers.
I'm gotta go with Devonta Adams. You cannot count this guy out. Every week you put me against Devonta. It's so hard to pick him. There's like off the top of your head, the way he's getting targets, the way he's taking touchdowns to the house. His scoring potential is there. He has 14 touchdowns right now. It's not something you see every year. He's just taking everything to the house. I cannot even put it into words the potential he has to have the rest of the season. DJ Moore, as you mentioned, the only reason is the volume. It's the fact that he can't Rodgers relies on Adams, but Bridgewater relies on DJ to be his number 1. But he understands he has Samuel and Robbie Anderson to just carry the rest of the workload. But definitely Devonta Adams in that. He is number 1 right now.
You got to give it to Adams. There was a play against the Lions last week where it was just like a quick screen to him with only 1 blocker, and it was set up as a one-on-one against him on the cornerback, and he just did a little quick
one more blocker than he needs.
Yeah, little move and literally just slipped right by for 25 yards, and I was like, how did no one draft you earlier? How did the Packers land you? Why did the Packers have to get you? Of course, you're in my division. Of course, this is probably the best, with the exception of maybe Hill Mahomes. This is probably the best wide receiver quarterback duo in the NFL right now. Right. 2020 week 15. Yes, the Mike Thomas Drew Brees connection last year was amazing. This Devonta Adams Aaron Rodgers connection has been legit. This is definitely the connection that can keep them going.
Would you rather have one more question before we end the show? Well, I have a question for you randomly. Would you right now, quick answer, DK Metcalf and Russell Wilson this year, would you rather have? Or Devonta Adams, Aaron Rodgers?
I'm going to go with Devonta Adams and Rodgers as much as I don't want to.
Still.
It's just the way that Adams is able to run his routes, his ability to get away from defenders, his ability to just make people miss, his catching capabilities is next level. It just, yes, he has the volume, but his volume is only a complement to the talent that he brings in. It's not to take away from DK's talent whatsoever. I think that DK is a great up and coming wide receiver in the league. He's proven in his second year that he is not just a one route kind of guy, but Devonta Adams really can do it all for this team. And it is terrifying to see them play. They also destroyed my Vikings in week 1. He had like 145 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I'm gonna stick with those guys who I hate so much in Green Bay and trust that they can do it. That is all the time that we have. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you everyone for listening. We hope you enjoy some Saturday football along with a bunch of college football championships like the Big Ten. So big day of football coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, huge weekend coming up. Big fantasy playoffs. Everybody remember, just play your
Say your lineups tomorrow.
Say your lineups tomorrow.
Yeah, get them ready. Don't forget,
Yeah.
you can't wait until Sunday at 12:55 like I do, or 12:59, but you got to start getting it ready on Saturday or else you're going to
And always remember to go to justsayingfootball.com to make sure that you don't mess up any of your lineups. Check out Just Saying Football on YouTube and Just Saying No GWJS on Instagram for all your video and article updates so you can get all your news.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Enjoy.
Yeah.